I welcome everyone to tonight's edition, who we are featuring in February, which is Bill Proctor. He is a biology alum from the Fayette campus, from the class of 1996. And so, Bill, welcome to this evening edition of the Alumni Speaker Series. Before we kick things off, I know a lot of your background and a lot of the things that you are going to talk about tonight. You wanted me to share some lyrics from a song, so I'm going to just play those, and he would like everyone listening to just reflect on it's only about a minute and a half long. He would like you all to just reflect on what the lyrics are saying and how impactful that is, and he will kind of get into that a little bit later as he goes through his presentation. So I'm just going to play. It's about a minute and a half long.
Yeah. Another one of those. This is for my kill down the urban on You know how we roll? There's so many that don't know. You got somebody to kill. Rest in peace, baby. The drama, the guns, the armor, the city, the farmer, the babies, the mama, the projects, the drugs, the children, the thugs, the kids, the hugs, the love, the stars, the funerals, the wakes, the churches, the coffins, the heartbroken lovers, the apples, the orphans, the problems, the things, the youth, the Saba, the Yonkers, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem, the hurt, the pain, the dirt, the rain, the jerk, the fame, the work, the game, the friends, the foes, the fins, the studio, the show, comes and it goes, the jealousy, the envy, the phones, the friends, the one that gave me the slugs, the one that put it in me, the stakes, the grass, the lawn, the seed, the lawnmower, the stand, right next to the tree.
All right, so that was what he wanted me to share with you all this evening before we get into the talk. And I would just encourage everyone listening tonight, I dropped it in the comment section as well, that if you have any questions for Bill this evening, please drop them in the comment section on Facebook, and I will be asking them of him throughout the evening. And another thing, in addition, that I wanted to share with everyone, I shared with Bill before we got started then, is we had a student that reached out that saw the promotion for the talk this evening and was excited that Mr. Proctor was speaking this evening. They unfortunately were unable to attend, but they attended Meredith Middle School and Hoover High School, both in Des Moines, currently now an Upper Iowa student. And they attended school with Bill, and that he truly impressed upon his students the importance of education and responsibility. This individual is now a special education associate and on their way to becoming a middle school science teacher themselves. Some of the students that they currently work with are involved and very committed to the Brother2Brother program that Bill is going to talk about tonight. And he and other Des Moines educators who led this individual to go back to college after graduating several years later. And so as a previous teacher of this individual, just wanted to provide their thanks to you and the commitment that you have made to the organizations that you are dealing with in Des Moines right now. And so I think that is a nice segue into letting you kind of do a little bit of introduction on that song that you had me play. And then we'll go from there, Bill.
Oh, thank you, Ann. I'm very blessed to be in the position that I am. Hi, everyone. I hope everybody's having a great night. I'm Bill Proctor, as Ann said, educator, currently teaching at McCombs Middle School, but was a science teacher for a very long time, and am now a physical education teacher and I'm an activist in the community doing several things. I just want to reflect on that song by DMX called "Who We Be," because it's kind of a segment of my life that I went through. Several lyrics that he addressed was dear to my heart because I had to overcome a lot to be in the position that I am, and it wasn't easy. And if I can do it, anybody can. I wanted people to feel and see and hear some of the hurt in that song because I think through pain and through grit, that's what develops us as individuals to get where we need to go. So I appreciate you playing that for me. Just to introduce myself a little bit further, right now, I'm currently in Des Moines Public Schools. I started off here in Fort Worth and taught at the high school, Southeast Polk High School, for several years, and then went to Hoover High School for 13 years, and then currently at McCombs Middle School right now. So that's kind of a short segment of my journey that I came to Iowa with. I started off in Carrollton, Texas, and a friend of mine came to Iowa first and told me about the opportunity for me to come here and kind of make my own way. Wanted to separate myself from my family in order to grow as an individual. So I didn't mind being away from my family when I came from Texas. Currently, right now, I am married and got 3 kids. Two of them, one of them went to Drake, one of them is on their way to Drake, and my other one went to Drake and then tried to develop his own passion in life and create his own business. And he's still in the process of doing that right now. So, first thing I want to talk about is where I was born. I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and kind of not so prevalent area. And I saw a lot of the things that were DMX in that song was addressing. And I had an opportunity to come across my first grade, third grade teacher, Miss Marilyn Granneman at the time. And she really guided me in the right direction. And I told myself, I want to be just like her and impact kids like she did and the way that she impacted me. And I thought to myself, if she can, and she was a white lady, nothing wrong with that, but she was teaching in the inner city. And I thought to myself, if she can impact a knucklehead kid like me, then what can I do as a minority teacher? What impact can I have on other kids of the same background and ethnicity? So that was my motivation. Was Ms. Granneman, and she was also a teacher.
I know you talked a little bit about this earlier, and maybe you already answered that question, but a little bit of background on what brought you to Upper Iowa.
It was an ex-football coach from our high school in Texas. He got the opportunity to come to Iowa, and then one of my friends, Jackie Bridges, was another person that had came before me. And once again, I just wanted to individualize myself and just to get a fresh start and to build myself as an individual, basically, was the main reason for coming to Upper Iowa.
While you were at Upper Iowa, you were involved in multiple organizations and activities and starting up a lot of things on campus. Can you talk about some of the things you were involved in and how those experiences impacted you once you completed your degree and left Fayette?
I was involved in several things. I was the lead of our multicultural committee, was also one of the founding fathers of Alpha Nu Omega, was the first minority-based fraternity at Upper Iowa, played basketball and football, part of the development of a kind of like a organized, it wasn't, I guess you could say, a protest after in 91, the Rodney King incident. We planted a unity tree, and I was the organizer of a peaceful rally and the tree is still up there along with the plaque at Upper Iowa. And the way that it impacted me moving forward as I continued my journey as an activist. I was very much so involved in a lot of things on campus, and I saw the impact and how people could gather from different backgrounds, different cultures, different environments, different experiences, how they can come together as long as everybody respect each other, can come together and impact our community. And that's what we did at Upper Iowa. And I just carried those lessons. I built so many relationships. I was very much impactful in gathering people from different backgrounds and socioeconomic backgrounds, and gathering them to basically just focus on certain outcomes. And I just carried that over with me in Des Moines Public Schools and was able to use those skills and develop and begin programs in Des Moines Public Schools and in our community to try to bring people together to impact our community for one common ground.
Absolutely. You mentioned Des Moines Public Schools, and so that kind of is a nice segue to my next question. Since you left Upper Iowa, you've been in numerous teaching and educator roles. Can you talk about the schools and communities that you have taught in and why you wanted to start teaching?
Yes. First of all, I wanted to start teaching mainly because I grew up in the inner city, and I never had a minority teacher. And my parents would always tell me that I can be whatever I wanted to be. And everyone that I went to, when we went to go see a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer, they weren't my own color, and I couldn't really relate to them. So I wanted to be someone that these kids could relate to. And to start off my journey, the first teaching job was at Polytechnic High School in Fort Worth, Texas, which was 95% minorities. Then I taught there a year and then made my way back to Iowa, and taught at Southeast Polk High School, which is probably about 98% white. So it was a big transition coming from an inner city school to an exclusively rural school. And then I was there for about 5 years and then went to Hoover High School, which had about 50% minorities, 30% white, 5% Hispanics, and like 15% refugees like Bosnian and other Africans and other refugees. So I've been in an array of different environments and different populations in the schools. And I think it helped me build character and who I am as an individual, because I got to interact with different people from different environments and different cultures. And it made me grow as an individual, to make a long story short.
As your involvement in your community, you saw a need in your community for the Brother2Brother program. Can you talk about first what Brother2Brother is, and then what is your role in it, and how did it come to fruition? How did it come to be what it is now?
Yes, Brother2Brother was basically established to increase the number of minority males of color getting through middle school and high school and college. And at Hoover High School, I was a basketball coach, and I would just sit down at lunch and talk to several kids just to, interact with the kids to see what they were doing. And a lot of them did not participate in extracurricular activities. So I asked them like, why? And most of them, just their response was they didn't feel wanted. They didn't think that they felt wanted or inclusive, and it wasn't for them. So me, the way that I think, I'll try to come up with solutions. So I said, well, what do you want to see then? Or what do you want to feel being in an extracurricular activity? How do you want to feel then? And so we would sit for about 2 or 3 weeks. We sat in my room and we just brainstormed and came up with ideas, a curriculum, things for them to do, events to do. And a guy named Terrence Martin, he was a guy who was an administrator, I think associate superintendent, or he came to me, and another guy, Dr. Bledsoe, who has a national college kind of brother to brother called Saab, talked to me about establishing a program in Des Moines Public Schools, and how can they help, and how can we get this springboarded off the ground. So we brainstormed and came up with an idea to get these young men of color. It was basically just Brother to Brother was basically just established to increase the number of males getting through middle school and high school. Are you still there?
Yep, we're still here.
Yep. And my role as the one of the creators was just to oversee the high schools and middle school chapters. And I do that now. I'm the district coordinator for Des Moines Public Schools. I oversee all the middle schools and high schools to make sure that they have an advisor, which is one person that has a chapter at each middle school and high school, and they go through an array of different things to counteract dropouts, to counteract suspensions, referrals, grades. We focus on. So it's just an array of different things that we focus on in the Brother to Brother program. We go to conventions, conferences. We have a program called BMW Black Men Working, where we actually go take them to see other minorities in the community, doctors, lawyers, dentists, businessmen doing what they do. And it's just basically give them ways to challenge themselves and to give them a high self-image of themselves so that they can go out and impact the community around them.
That's wonderful. In addition to your role in Brother to Brother and your role as an educator, you've also been a coach for 25 years. Can you talk about your time as being a coach and what that has meant to you, and how you work to additionally connect with those students?
One of the reasons that I'm here is because I had several people that impacted me as far as coaches, because we have a different dynamic with kids because we see them off the court. We see them, traveling to games and stuff like that. And as a coach, I'm able to hold kids a little bit more accountable because I know them outside of school. And that's another way to connect with kids. And as well as I do, being in education, being a coach has a different relationship with kids, and being in sports, it take you through all the dynamics of life, ups, downs, good, the bad, respect, dignity, hard work. And those are my pillars of life. And I try to incorporate that into coaching as well as my personal endeavors, and kids are able to see that through my coaching. And so that's another avenue to reach kids, is through coaching. And I take that very seriously because that's basically, kids get gratification and get their names called out, especially kids that I'm around. That's the one time that parents are yelling out their name, coaches are yelling out their names, especially if they're good. So this is the one thing that really makes them feel good about themselves. And I try to transition that and tell them to be basketball players of life, and try to take skills of life and utilize it just like they utilize the skills in basketball to make an impact in the game. And I try to, tell them to do the same thing with life and make an impact in life the same way they do basketball. And I'm able to do that through the avenues of coaching.
That's a really awesome analogy. And just a reminder for everybody that is watching on the live stream, if you have any questions for Bill, please drop them in the comment section, and I'm monitoring that and will ask that again. And just as I said that, one popped through now from the one and only Dr. Scott Figdor, who you may remember very well from your time here on campus. He says, thank you for educating him tonight. For our education students who hope to become teachers soon, what words of advice do you have for them as they start their careers? That's a great question.
One thing that I would tell them is they are here for a reason. It's a blessing to be born in the world. It's a blessing. If you take the percentage of people who are born, it's a blessing. And every single person has a place in this world. You just got to find out what that gift is that you have, and go out and maximize that gift to no end and never look back. And that would be my advice to them, is especially if you got a gift of educating people, connecting with people, take that and run with it as far as you can and never look back. And always remember that where you are now is not where you have to be later, because you're always going to grow and develop throughout your life and throughout your career. So my biggest asset, or my advice to them, would be to never let anybody get in your way. If you want to do something, there's been several people in my life that have tried to stop me from being educated, believe it or not, that have been envious of me being educated. But you just keep your boots on the ground and always keep the train moving forward, regardless of what anybody say or regardless of anybody do. And education is the key. Education is the key to anything. And I got so many, I incorporated so many and acquired so many degrees because I wanted to broaden my horizons. I didn't want to be stuck in one thing, so I got several degrees to broaden my horizons. It's never a limit to how successful you can be.
Absolutely.
There's never a limit. So just try to reach for the stars and go as far as you can go. I never really look ahead. I just embrace the moment that I'm in, and I just maximize the moment that I'm in and make the best out of that moment. And that moment will lead me to a better moment ahead. And that moment will lead me to the better moment ahead, as long as you take advantage of all your opportunities. There's not very many opportunities that come your way in life. So when they do, you got to take full advantage of it, of every opportunity that comes your way, regardless of where, if it's in education or not. Embrace every opportunity like it's the last opportunity that you'll ever get. And if you keep doing that, the success will come along the way. Just never doubt yourself, and always know that if one person did it, you can do it.
In addition to being an educator and a coach, you're also very involved in your community. What involvement opportunities have you done, and why has that been so rewarding to you?
I've seen a lot of bad things happen in our community. I look at it as a puzzle. And if you look at a puzzle that's half done, you have to figure out where the pieces go to make the picture, the image come to light. And so that's how I look at our community, is we have a lot of pieces that of the puzzle that are left out. And it's my job to try to go out and get those pieces and put them in so that our kids can see the big picture in our community. The community involvement that I've been a part of is I've helped organize Young Men of Color. It's a guy here, Bo James, who puts on a conference every year. I've been involved in food drives. We have a activity in Brother2Brother that we do every year called hashtag lunch bag, where we go out and we go to the youth shelter and we package sandwiches and lunches and give 200 or 300 lunches to the youth shelter so kids can have sack lunches. The gas giveaway, my buddy Rob Johnson does that, and we help with that. I've donated money to his organization for that. It's just I can sit here and talk about enormous. I'll Make Me a World in Iowa. It's the biggest African American festival in Iowa. And Betty Andrews, actually, she lives down the street from me, but she puts on that every year. And we send our Brother2Brother and Sisters for Success guys and girls to that every year and help organize that, when the time calls for it. And it's just a lot. I've put on protests. I won't say protests, but rallies. In the situation this summer or a couple summers ago with COVID, I had some peaceful rallies downtown that I was a part of and organized here in the suburbs where I am in West Des Moines. So anywhere that I can fit that puzzle piece in to make the picture clear, that's what I do. So whatever I can do to help my community, that's what I do. I take our Brother2Brother guys. We go to basketball games. We go to football games. We help out at the youth shelters again. We help out with Meals from the Heartland. And I mean, we just help wherever we can. It's just fitting in those puzzle pieces.
Absolutely. Making connections and building relationships is so important in the advancement of anyone's career. What would you say is your biggest piece of advice for building relationships?
My biggest piece of advice would be to network, because you never know what attributes somebody could bring to you or help you. You will never get somewhere alone. So always take advantage of any connections. I tell people when I give them my business card, I always tell them to use it, because if they gave me theirs, I would use it, because it would be worthless if I didn't. So just stay focused in what you're doing. Anybody that comes along, everybody is special and everybody has something that they can provide for you. Anything that you can do to advance yourself, I would take advantage of. And that's what I would tell kids, that any time that somebody offers you something, make sure that you take it and make sure that you give it to somebody else. So just pay it forward. That's what I would say.
Communication skills and leadership qualities are attributes to help in anyone's career as well. And as an educator and coach and a strong advocate for your community, what are some other key qualities of a leader or a successful professional that you are seeing in the students that you are working with on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis, I see that kids are well endowed as far as technology. So as a coach and as an advocate in my community, I think a key quality to being successful is being able to navigate through technology. That's one. Also, kids these days lose focus on how much talking and sitting down with someone can do in person. A lot of times when kids want to talk to me, they either want to text me or call me, but I think we losing that interpersonal communication with people. And then it's more personable when you can sit down with them. So I would say not to drop the ball and not communicate through technology, but I would say anytime that you can literally and physically meet with somebody and communicate with them, I think that's the best way to communicate. Some key qualities of leadership, I think, is just to probably be able to get everybody on the same page. Not to be a boss, but to be a leader is to basically get everybody to focus on one individual goal. Some qualities that I'm seeing in individuals that I work with is that they're very innovative people and kids. And they got so much to provide. I mean, they got so much to give, man, and they just don't know how talented they are. Because they haven't tapped their full potential. They just don't know. My job is to give them opportunities to maximize their potential. Each one of those kids, we got some very talented kids, man, and they don't even know how talented they are until we give them an opportunity to maximize their potential and put them in an environment to do that.
Switching gears a little bit to career readiness, that's something that is an important topic in my area right now, and with employers across the country. I know we've talked a little bit about the competencies, and you've even talked a little bit about it already with, utilizing leadership and talking about communication. But what competencies do you feel are important in helping excel in one's career goals, and why?
It's basically learning and going to as many conferences, conventions, getting developmental skills that you need to springboard you one step ahead. That would be my advice. Some of the things that they should be aware of is financial literacy, like how to handle money. Even though whatever field that you in, you got to be able to know how to manage money, work with teams, work with different people with different backgrounds. Mainly just have interpersonal communication skills, oratorical skills to be able to talk to large groups or small groups, be able to build relationships with people, and fester them down from top to bottom, from the groundwork as far as non-educated people all the way to the top level of highly educated people, just to be a well-rounded individual, be inclusive, to try to incorporate people to make them feel welcome and comfortable. I think that's important in the space that you in. Try to develop a safe space for people that you are interacting with and working with and dealing with. And what I mean by that is a lot of people reject areas that they don't feel comfortable in. So try to be as welcoming and as inclusive and incorporate safe spaces for people to be able to prosper and grow. Because I think that's where a lot of people are reluctant to give their full potential, is when they in a space that they don't feel welcome in, and they don't feel safe in.
And to kind of piggyback off of that a little bit, how would you encourage individuals to improve on those skills and competencies that you talked about?
Once again, just going to conferences, asking people for advice, going to people that are veterans in whatever field or that you are in. Look at the bad side of things so that you don't repeat them. A lot of times people want to embrace the good things about the careers and activities and things that they're in, but sometimes you can grow from the bad things to make sure you don't repeat them. Is the way that I look at a lot of things sometimes also. But I would just encourage people to go to conferences, try to be the best, because if you're the best at what you do, how can you be replaced? So always try to build on your skills, go to conferences, get advice from veterans, read books, and just get as familiar with your field as possible. Network. Once again, that's what you know. It ain't what you know, it's who you know. So that's one way that I was able to get where I was, is just to basically network, and you would never understand the value of who knows other people and how they know them. So just basically networking would be a great attribute to developing yourself also.
Yes, that's one thing that we stress within our area as well, is you can never have enough in your network. So I think that's a nice segue to kind of closing out our talk for tonight. Are there any final pieces of advice that you would give to students, alums, university community that may be watching this evening as before we wrap things up this evening?
My biggest attribute, or my biggest value in life, besides my kids, is getting this right here.
Absolutely.
This is the most important value besides having my kids, this is the biggest attribute in my life right here. So kids, believe me in everything that I'm saying. This right here would take you farther than anything, and nobody can take this from you. Nobody. They can take money, your house, your cars, but they can never take that away. Remember that.
Absolutely. I think that is a great way to end our speaker series with you this evening, Bill. Very powerful words throughout the entire time we've been chatting this evening. Thank you everyone for joining in and listening to our conversation with Bill this evening, and hope that you can join us next time when we talk with another alum on the Alumni Speaker Series. Thank you so much and have a great night.